This is another Making Comics 101 quick tip. Greetings, people of the internet. I'm Scott with Serkworks Art Labs. Welcome, mad creators, to the underground laboratory where together we're going to create some awesome comics. This is a Making Comics 101 quick tip. We're talking about inking this week, so I thought I would give you some inking tips. Not just one, but a few different tips. Now, I've shared some of these before on various other videos, but they're pretty sporadic all over the place, so I thought since we're talking about inking, I'm going to show them to you again and maybe some new ones. So here we go. The first one I want to talk about is, so you get some of these inks. Black Magic is a particular culprit. Sometimes it seems it's a little watered down and it just doesn't have the right consistency. What you can do is just take the lid off and just leave it overnight, maybe even 2 nights, and it'll start to thicken up and it'll get a little better consistency. So just leave that out there, but just make sure it's in a safe place where it's not going to get knocked over by a cat or something like that, and then you'll find it'll give it a little better consistency. Another tip has to do with this white. This is Proof Bleed or Pro White, whatever you have. This bottle isn't even really that old, but as you can see, it just kind of, well, maybe you can't see, but it just kind of flaked away. It's pretty much powder. Well, what you can do is just add some water and again, leave it overnight, and if you do that, it'll just pop right back to normal. So when you're inking a comic, sometimes people will just take and they'll dip their ink right in the well. Unfortunately, you don't always know the level of your ink, so I always suggest to use something like this. Here is just a water bottle cap. I'll use that and just put a little bit of ink in there, and that way I know I have a little more gauge on how much ink is on the brush. Now, the problem with these caps is sometimes you'll set them on your desk and they'll just go flying. If you've got some blue tack, or sometimes I even use this kneaded eraser. I take a little piece off the kneaded eraser, I stick it on here, and then I just press it down to my table, and it's going to stay there even if you're at a little bit of an angle. Another thing that's really effective that I like to use is, if you've ever seen one of these, this is it's for, you keep them in your shop. It's got a magnet on the back. It's a metal bowl. It's just for putting screws and things in there so they don't go flying all over the place. But it's also really good, instead of the plastic cap, if you can get like a metal bottle cap, a beer bottle cap or something, and then you can just stick it right on there. And these things are heavy enough, depending on the angle of your desk. This one's got a pretty steep angle, so it might, but if you've got a normal angle, this thing's heavy enough that if you accidentally bump it, it's not gonna go moving around, and this little cap is gonna be safe. Even if it manages to flip over, which it's not going to, you still got a little extra reservoir there to work with. So I like to use that. And if you don't have one of these, even an old speaker, they've got little magnets in them, and you can just, any kind of magnet like that you can use as a sort of a dish or something to hold your ink. So when you're transferring your ink to your little reservoir there, some inks have a little, eyedropper. I know the Black Magic does. It doesn't work that great. This Black Star, it works a little better. But some inks don't have that. The ink that I like to use, the Deleter Black, doesn't have that. But I've got a bunch of these little pipettes that you can use and dip in there. Not everyone has those. They're fairly cheap. You can get them online. But if you don't have one of those, what you can do is you can use, where is that? Just a straw. Now, I don't have a regular size straw. I got one of these boba straws. But what you can do is you just dip it in your ink and then put your thumb over it, and that's going to cause some suction. You can bring that up, and then you can dump it right there into your reservoir. The other thing you can do with a straw, at least a regular size straw, some brushes actually come with this little plastic cap, but usually if I go to like a Michael's or something, all those caps are gone. But I do like to have those because it gives a little added protection. But if you don't have those, you can get a little like a straw and cut it off, or even like right here, I just cut the end of one of those pipettes off, and then I can put it right over my brush like that. Alright, so those are a few real quick inking tips. If you've got some other tips, let me know. Also, I'm going to leave a link to a video I did with all kinds of really cool inking art hacks. That'll be up here somewhere coming up, I think. So check that out, and yeah, happy inking. I'll see you guys later, and that is all. Hey, thanks for watching. If you like what you saw and you want to see more, hit that subscribe button. Also, you can follow me at Serkworks on social media, and now you can support the work that I do on Patreon. Do you like making comics? Then go to Serkworks.com and pick up the Comic Maker Starter Kit. It's packed full of fonts, brushes, templates, and more. And best of all, it's totally free.